Hello my felting friends, welcome to this week's video. I felt as summer was well underway, it's about time we all went to the beach. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to needle felt this very simple, although it doesn't look it, very simple needle felted beach scene. So let's crack on with it and I'll show you how it's done. So as always, the drawing is in the description box below. It's completely free if you want to go and download it. And once you've transferred it, however you want to do that, onto your felt. This is 100% wool felt that I have here that I'm needle felting onto. And once you've got your picture on there, then we're going to start mixing some blue and white together. We're going to do the sky with this, and it doesn't have to be perfectly mixed. If you've seen my videos before, you'll know that when I tend to do the skies, I don't mix it really well, because if you have some of the white bits left in it, that just looks like clouds. So it's just a nice easy way to make a sky and you don't have to do too much to it. We're going to start at the top and lay the sky across as we normally do. So we're just going to build it all the way across. Make sure we cover the felt that's underneath, because mine's a weird colour, so it tends to show through if I'm not thorough with it. And then we'll just needle that in place. So I actually live near a seaside, it's lovely, and I thought, well, not everybody gets a chance to live near the seaside, so I'll make sure we make a seaside picture for you all. So I've done the top of the sky and I've added a little bit more blue to this now. We're going to bring this down to the horizon line. Make sure your horizon line's straight. But what we'll go back when we come to do the sea, and that we'll go back and double check that it's straight. Now, because I have the drawing, I don't mind if I go over the drawing on the felt that I've done. But if you're not sure about it, my suggestion would be, if you've managed to get the picture onto the felt, then perhaps if you needle felt in just the lighthouse first, then you'll know where the lighthouse is, and then you can build everything else around it if you haven't drawn it on. You'll just want to make sure you get the lighthouse, but because I have the picture, I know I'm going to be okay. So we just build that all the way across, and now I'm going to start on the sea at the back. So I've just got what I want to do to make the sea nice and easy to do. If you mix 2 or 3 colours of blue together, if that's the colour you're going to do your sea, mix 2 or 3 colours of blue together, and as you lay them down, it'll automatically look a little bit like waves and ripples. So it's a nice simple way to get some movement on your sea. And this little bit extra that's light I'm going to put in will also help to give the illusion of a little bit of waves. You know, like the tops of the waves go a little bit white in places. Although this isn't obviously going to be white, but we don't want white waves. So this is going to be the horizon line between the sea and the sky. So put it on as level as you can, and then later on we can go back over it with a ruler and just check that it's level. And then all you're going to do is take that colour you've mixed and start to lay it across around where the sea would be. And if you look closely, you can see that you've got different little bits of colour which make it look like ripples and waves out at sea. So it's a nice simple way to do it if you blend them together like that. And as I lay and as I'm laying this sea down, because it's coming in to the land, you'll notice I start to lay it, begin to bring it round diagonally, just a little bit at a time. I just start to ease the water around the bay. You'll see more as we go along. I just do it very gradually to start with, because I want the water eventually to wash up onto the sand, so I need to bring it round into the bay. Just making sure I fill in any little gaps where I can see the felt from underneath. Now I've made this very, very slightly darker. I've just added a little bit more of dark coloured wool into this. And if you watch now, I'm sort of scrunching it up in my hands a bit and putting it down. So I'm not putting it smoothly, I've just scrunched it a bit, and that'll give a little bit of movement as if it's coming onto shore with waves. It's not a lot, it's quite subtle, but it does look quite nice. Because we're not actually trying to build specific waves here, we're just giving the illusion of movement. Sorry, that's dog's toes on the floor. Now I've started to add some more white to this because I want to start to lighten it up as it comes onto the land. So I've added a bit of extra white to this because I want it to start to look a little bit more like the white on waves now that's coming onto the land. So you're just going to get a little bit more of that white show through. So now it's coming up onto the beach. So as you can see, it's even lighter now that I'm putting down. It's still obviously blue, but it's much lighter. And I'm not scrunching this now, this is more where the waves are coming up onto the shore. So rather than have it scrunched like movement waves, we're just going to have it more flat like this. Just put it down nice and thinly. Now we need to start to add some beaching because we're going to put some of the waves up onto the sand as well, so we need to start putting this in now. And I've put a slightly darker one in because this is the sand that would be wet, so it would be a little bit darker. So we're just going to follow our wave line along, and then we'll put some white waves over the top of that. So this isn't actually completely white, this is still that light blue. But I want to bring it now onto the shore like the little white foamy waves that lap up against the sand. And if you spread it out a little bit and have it thin, you'll be able to see the sand underneath it come through. And it'll look a little bit more realistic than just having it as a solid white line. You see how I've put it on thinly, and you can see little bits of the sand through it. Once it gets close to the shore, like it's starting to now, you can go into the white if you want to, and just put little white bits down. And I'm scrunching it because I want it to separate rather than go in one clump. And because I've scrunched it, it will separate out, and I can have little areas where it's separated apart on the sand, if you see what I mean. Rather than have to try and pull each strand apart, if I do that and then lay it down, it automatically goes into that kind of see-through bits. But it's very thin. So now, because I've got the darker bit of sand, I'm now going to go into start having some bit lighter bits as well. But we'll go back and forth just a little bit over the beach and add some more colour into it in a minute. But if you don't have lots of different coloured sandy colours, then just add a little bit of white to it and just brighten it up as we go along. And let's face it, the sand on beaches all over the world is different colours, so you have a little bit of poetic licence to be able to add whatever colour you can make the best for your sand. So I'm really now just going to fill in the beach area. And what I've done there is I've got some thin bits of the lighter colour, and I've put it over the dark area because I want to blend it in a bit. I don't want a completely separate piece of sand. So if you look closer, you can see I've added some of the lighter colour onto the darker colour. So I've filled in that main area with one colour, and now I'm going to go over it very thinly with a slightly darker colour, because I don't want the sand to look really like a flat area. I want it to have a little bit of texture in it. But you can see how thinly I've pulled it. So we're just going to do that all over this main area of sand. Because you don't really want any big blobs of this colour, you just want it nice and thin all over. So this is what I do, I build up, I've done the base colour, then I've gone over with that lighter colour, with the darker colour again, and then I'm going back over with a bit more of the light colour. So it all kind of blends in together, but you've got a little bit of texture on the sand. And this bit in the corner here, this is still the beach, but I just want it a little bit darker, because this is going to have some rocks and things on it, so it wouldn't have so much sunlight, so I'm just putting in it slightly darker now. Again, we'll go back over these in a little bit. We'll add, because we're going to add little rocks and things to this, it won't look quite so just a block of brown. And this is the same colour I put down at the beginning by the water. So all the way along, all I'm doing is trying to add some variation in colours and things to it. And if you do it thinly enough, as I always say, you can see through to the colours below, and that makes all the difference. So all I've done here was block in the bit where the lighthouse is going to sit. I just did that with some beige or grey, whichever you'd like to do. And now I'm just here, I'm just going to put a little darker over the horizon here. I just felt that it wanted to be a little bit darker, but I've just done it thinly over the top of the rest of it. And I've done my little base in sort of a beigey colour, and all I did was add a little bit of shadow around the base and along the side, and now I'm highlighting just the top of the wall with some lighter cream colour. I don't know what happened to a little bit of footage where I made the base, sorry. But if you look at it, you can see it's just shaded along the bottom, basically, really. So I've added that bit of cream along the highlight on the top of the wall, and I've just run it down that bit of wall there as well, where that would catch the light. I do sometimes think that the gremlins sneak in my computer and whiz off with bits of my filming. So here really I'm just adding a bit of shadow up the sides. Because for me this wall it curves round from the front and then it comes along the beach. So in that corner I've got a bit of darker shading. And it can be quite shady all along this bit because we're going to put in a rock bank in a minute. So you can put really dark there if you want to. You can go, I wouldn't do black, although you could, but I would just do like a dark brown. Because all that bit that we've put there is going to have rocks on. Now along this bit at the back here, it's as if the cliffside is going off in that direction, so you'll see I put a piece of brown all the way along there, just mix up some browns together so it's not all one colour, and then a bit later on we'll put a bit of grass over the top of that. But if you look at my little pile of browns, I never just use just a brown if I'm going to have it so that that's what you see at the end. I always mix them together a bit. And there we go, we've just put some green over the top of that, just so it sits on the top of it. You'll want more than one green if you can, put a little bit of variety up there as well. Now if you look here, you'll see I've got all sorts of different browns, and I'm just mushing them like I do all together because we're going to use these to make the cliff edge that goes down onto the beach. So I'm not worried, I just want lots of different colours together. I forgot to put this bit in, sorry. This is just like a little road that goes down to the lighthouse, something like that. You can't tell it's a road, it's just a break up between the cliff in the background and our cliffy bank here now. So I don't mind how the colours come out from that pile, I'm just going to fill in the whole bank as it goes down. And because I've done it that way, I've got rocks and dark areas and all sorts, and it's already done for me. So just fill all that in. Just try and make sure you go from top to bottom and not crossways. So as you lay your stuff down, just lay it top to bottom as if it's actually running down the cliffside. And then at the bottom here, we're going to have a few rocks and things that have spilt out as it's eroded away. Again, I'm just picking colours out of that block of wool. I'm not really specifically worrying about what the colour is that I've picked up, because whatever I pick up will match what's on the cliff thing anyway. We're just trying to break up that line, really. And if you've got a lot of that you made a fair bit of that mixture, hang on to it, because we'll use it in a minute to start making the boulders and things around by the lighthouse. Because you can, if you want to later on, go back into that cliff bank thing and work on defining out rocks and things a bit more if you want to. It's not necessary, but you can do if you want to. And then down in this corner, I'm bringing it around a bit more because I want to curve it around to keep me in the picture. So all I'm doing here is just adding a few little extra bits to pick out some of the rock fronts and things like that. But so you don't have to do it, I've just added a few bits in. But you could also add some shady dark bits as well if you want to. Especially if you don't feel like it looks like it's going downwards, you know, from the top of the picture to the bottom. Then you can add some extra bits like that. And then of course I need some grass and things along the top here. So I started with the dark colour, the darkest colour grass, and then I will build it up and I add some lighter bits over it. And I wanted to make it look like some of it was coming down over the edge. Not too much, but I just wanted to have it as if, you know, there were grassy patches down the cliff front. We have the seaside I used to go to when I was a little girl. We used to go and stay there on holiday, and it has a cliff edge like this. And when I was a little girl, there were chalets and things all along the cliff edge, and I would go and sit at the top of it and at night and watch out, because I could, from where I could sit on this cliff top, I could look across the sea and see a Butlins. I don't know if you've heard of Butlins, but I used to be able to see the Butlins lights at night, and I'd sit there for hours just watching these lights twinkling in the dark. But I went back recently and all the chalets have fallen into the sea and all this stuff. It's very sad. Mind you, it's 60 years ago, so I suppose the erosion, but it was sad to see that it was all gone, my special little place. So anyway, so what I'm doing now is I'm just adding a little rocks and boulders along the edge here as well. I wanted some individual ones. So just pop some of these anywhere you like, really. I've used the grey because it breaks the brown up a bit. And then I put the basic grey colour in, and then I'll put a little bit of highlight over the top of them. And especially as these are closer to you, you really want some bigger textures like this. If it was like a field picture, and that this is where I would be putting the flowers, but in this case I'm putting rocks in its place. But make sure you put some down on the beach as well. So all I've done there I keep losing bits of footage, I'm so sorry. All I've done there is just roll different colours up, some greys, some browns and things, and I've literally just, on that dark brown bank we had, I've literally just built them up on there, just different colours next to each other, all the way around. So you haven't really missed anything. If you just roll up little blobs of colour and pop them on there, you'll be fine. But it's nice to have a variety, so I do have some greys, some beiges, some browns, things like that. And in some places you can leave a teeny gap through it and you'll be able to see some of the dark colour from underneath. Now, because these are rocks and the waves are coming in, I wanted to add a little bit of white wave around them as well. So it looks like the waves are crashing up onto this rocky shoreline there. So it looks like the waves are crashing up onto the boulders and things there. And then what I also want to do is I want to pop a few more of these big rocks out of the sea. And then we'll put some white around those as well in a minute. There we go. So you can have as many rocks and things as you like out in your water. And it's a quite nice, because the picture takes you round to that part anyway, it's quite nice to have some things there to look at. That's why putting the water around the rocks and things is a nice thing to see. Don't want to fill the whole thing up. And this is just some very light beige, as you can see, and I just wanted to lighten some of the sand up a bit more. And as I say in all my pictures, you don't see me do it, but do felt it down well. Now, I'm trying to make sure that I get the sides of my lighthouse straight. Not straight up and down, because if you look at a lighthouse it goes inwards a bit. But I want to make sure that it's straight. So I'm basically drawing the outline of the lighthouse in a light grey, and then I'll go back and fill it in. So at this point you can decide, if you haven't already put your lighthouse in, how big you want your lighthouse. Just pretend it's straight, okay? I don't know. This whole video has been a bit weird and even my lines aren't perfect. So anyway, I've got grey for the shady side. We'll just carry on, pretend nothing's happening. We've got grey for the shady side, and then I'm doing the white, or a very light grey, whatever you'd like, but I've done white for round the front here. And I will run a fine line down that later, just so that we can see it, just a grey line back down the white side. And then I've put a little bit of blue at the top, and I'm doing my very best to have that lattice effect where the light would be. You'll see when I take my hand out of the way in a second. So I'm trying to put in that lattice bit. I sort of got it. It's kind of fiddly because the wool had to be done really, really thinly. I sort of did at it, but I think it looks like what it's supposed to, so it's fine. And then I wanted to add onto it a pop of colour, just a little bit of colour here. So that's why I've gone for the red. That's going to go like the balcony round the top, and then actually on the top of the lighthouse as well. Because the lighthouse I was looking at as a reference picture had a little like red, almost like a hat on the top, and then another tiny little red dot on top of that. So I sort of roughly made it look like that. This is just finishing the outside of the window area off. I needed 2 little black lines to go up the side. There we go. If you look at my horizon line, it goes all over the place, but I do go back in and sort that out a bit later on. So then I looked at it and I thought the lighthouse needed a little something next to it, so I've added a little building. And that's basically done the same way. I've got a bit of white at the front and then I just go down the sides with some grey. And then it's the popping in the windows. I thought actually adding the windows makes all the difference once you add these little ones. I thought that really brought it to life. So I'm back to still building rocks and pebbles and things. I think this whole summer I'm going to have pictures with flies in. We have farm fields all around us and I don't know what they've been doing on the fields, but it seems to have attracted every fly in the country. And it doesn't matter whether you open your doors or shut them, they seem to come in anyway. So my apologies if you see the odd fly around. My dogs are doing the best to catch them for me, but I think they're outnumbered. So I'm just adding a little bit of highlight and shade to some of these big boulders. Now I felt that we needed something else here as you're going out of the picture. So I put this big rock in here. It's really just hopefully to keep you in the picture a bit more. And I didn't show it in this, but if you look at the end picture, what I do then is above the rock, I've got a seagull, because I thought at the rate we're going to be out of the picture, and I wanted something above the picture to lure you back in, kind of thing. So I didn't do it in this now, but when I pinned it up on my wall and looked at it, I thought it needed something else just to keep you in the picture. So that's my best attempt at a seagull. Anyway, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this picture. If you did, leave me a comment, let me know what you think, and if like and subscribe and all that stuff for me, that would be great, thank you. And there may be a picture on the screen now, a video that you might like to watch, and if you do, I'll join you there. And if not, I'll see you for the next video. Thanks very much for watching. Bye for now.